Back in the day, motorcycles were simple, powerful, and built to last. Some still are. You just have to know where to look. We're counting down 7 budget-friendly Japanese bikes that prove it. Make sure to stay for number 1. It's a forgotten gem that still outperforms bikes 3 times the price. Number 7. Kawasaki Ninja 500R. Some motorcycles never needed a flashy debut to prove their worth. They just worked. Year after year, they earned quiet respect from riders who cared more about getting there than showing off. The Ninja 500 is exactly that kind of machine. A bike that built its legacy not on hype, but on reliability, simplicity, and approachability. It is powered by a 498 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine that produces 50 horsepower and 32 pound-feet of torque. Braking is handled by a single disc in the front and a matching disc in the rear. The suspension consists of conventional telescopic forks in the front and a monoshock in the rear. Wet weight comes in at just over 400 pounds with a seat height of just over 30 inches. Clean used models typically start around $2,000. The design is straightforward. No aggressive race replica stance, no overloaded fairings, no modern distractions. Just clean bodywork, an honest riding position, and a chassis that has seen decades of refinement. For new riders, this means a bike that is forgiving when you make mistakes. And for seasoned riders, it means something that is always ready when you are. The engine does not scream for attention, it hums, and that is exactly what makes it so good for real-world use. Power delivery is smooth, predictable, and strong through the mid-range. Whether you are merging onto a freeway, taking back roads home from work, or carving a weekend mountain loop, the Ninja 500 never feels like it is struggling to keep up. What sets this motorcycle apart, especially for its price, is the balance between confidence and performance. It is light enough to flick through traffic and navigate tight parking lots, but stable enough to cruise at highway speeds without feeling twitchy. For smaller riders, the narrow frame and low seat height make it unintimidating. For larger riders, the seat and pegs allow enough room to move and stay comfortable for longer rides. The simplicity extends into the maintenance too. Oil changes, chain adjustments, and valve checks are all straightforward. There is no complex electronics package to worry about. No traction control, no ride modes, no electronic suspension. Just a time-tested layout that is easy to understand and easier to work on. And because this motorcycle was produced for many years, parts are still easy to find and often interchangeable with other models. One of the most overlooked benefits is just how cheap these bikes are to own. Not just in purchase price, but in insurance, upkeep, and fuel economy. It is a practical bike through and through. For anyone looking to get into motorcycling or return after years away, the Ninja 500 is one of the best entry points available. It is not going to win races or steal glances at bike night, but that is not the point. It gets you on the road, it keeps running, and it does it without asking much in return. In a world of overpriced machines loaded with tech you will never use, the Ninja 500 is a reminder that the basics still matter. The next bike on this list proves that everyday comfort and reliable power do not have to come at a high cost or with unnecessary compromise. If this list is bringing back memories or saving you money, hit like and drop a comment with your favorite underrated bike. Let's give these machines the credit they deserve. Number 6. Yamaha FZ6. Not every motorcycle needs to shout to be heard. Some simply earn respect by showing up day after day, delivering exactly what riders need, without attitude, without compromise. The FZ6 fits that mold perfectly. It may not have the drama of a race bike or the presence of a cruiser, but when it comes to balanced performance and year-round practicality, few machines do it better. At the heart of the FZ6 is a 600 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine that produces approximately 98 horsepower, and 45 pound-feet of torque-stopping duties are handled by dual front discs with 4 piston calipers and a single disc in the rear. Suspension consists of standard telescopic forks up front and a preload adjustable monoshock in the rear. Wet weight comes in at roughly 490 pounds with a seat height of 31 inches. On the used market, clean examples typically range between $2,800 and $3,500. The FZ6 was designed for riders who want just enough aggression to keep things exciting without sacrificing everyday usability. It shares lineage with the R6, one of Yamaha's most respected supersport platforms, but it has been retuned for smoother delivery and more accessible power in the low to mid-range. That means responsive roll-on acceleration, steady throttle control, and enough power to keep pace in any traffic scenario. What really sets the FZ6 apart is how naturally it fits into real life. The upright seating position, wide bars, and slightly stepped seat make for a relaxed ride that does not beat you up after an hour on the road. Whether you are commuting to work, running weekend errands, or taking a long-distance ride, the FZ6 always feels composed and ready. Despite its comfort, the chassis is still nimble and planted. It handles twisty roads with confidence and feels stable at speed. It is one of those rare bikes that does not force you to choose between fun and function. You get both in equal measure. The instrument panel combines analog and digital elements, providing all the information you need without unnecessary clutter. The half fairing offers decent wind protection without turning the bike into a bulky tourer. And because it was never built to be flashy, the FZ6 has aged gracefully. Its clean lines and purposeful stance give it a timeless appeal. For those who like to personalize their ride, the FZ6 offers a solid platform. Aftermarket support is abundant. Racks, windshields, crash bars, and exhaust upgrades are widely available. It is a bike you can modify for touring, commuting, or canyon carving without breaking the bank. Maintenance is simple and infrequent, with valve inspections recommended every 26,000 miles and straightforward oil and chain service in between. The FZ6 is about as worry-free as a high-performance machine can get, and perhaps that is the real beauty of it. The FZ6 does not pretend to be anything it is not. It is not trying to compete with full-blown sport bikes, nor is it trying to be a luxury tourer. It is simply well-built, well-balanced, and remarkably capable. Exactly what most riders actually need. The next machine on this list strips things back even further. No frills, no flash, just rugged engineering and a motor that refuses to quit. We sorted the junk from the gems. Grab your gear from the links below. Number 5. Suzuki GSX1100G. There was a time when motorcycles were built with nothing but function and durability in mind. Before touchscreens, before ride modes, before plastic panels replaced steel. The GSX1100G comes from that era. It is not a showpiece. It is not trying to impress anyone, but twist the throttle, and it becomes immediately clear. This machine means business. Powering it is an 1127 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine that delivers approximately 100 horsepower and close to 80 pound-feet of torque. It uses a shaft drive system instead of a chain, delivering quiet and low-maintenance power transfer. Braking is handled by dual front disc brakes and a single rear disc. Suspension includes standard telescopic forks up front and a monoshock in the rear tuned for long-distance comfort. The wet weight is just under 600 pounds, with a seat height of approximately 31 inches. Used models in good condition typically sell for between $2,500 and $3,500. The GSX1100G is the motorcycle equivalent of a V8-powered station wagon, an unassuming powerhouse that hides its muscle under a calm exterior. The power band is wide and easy to manage. You do not need to rev it to the moon to feel it come alive. Instead, it gives you usable torque exactly where you want it, in the middle of the rev range, where highway passes and two-up touring happen without hesitation. The shaft drive is one of the GSX1100G's most practical features. Unlike a traditional chain setup, it does not require constant cleaning or adjustment. It is quiet, clean, and lasts for years with little more than a fluid change. For riders who log serious mileage or just want less hassle between services, it is a huge benefit. Despite its weight on paper, the bike feels balanced and composed at speed. That extra heft gives it a rock-solid ride on the highway, even in strong crosswinds or behind 18-wheelers. Whether cruising open roads or weaving through backcountry routes, the GSX1100G holds its line with confidence. Comfort was clearly part of the design brief. The upright handlebars, mid-mounted foot pegs, and wide seat make it a natural fit for riders of all sizes. It is a bike that can go hundreds of miles in a day without leaving your back sore or your knees cramped. And the passenger accommodations are equally generous, making it a great choice for two-up travel. Visually, it avoids anything flashy. The design is simple, honest, and focused entirely on purpose. There is no excessive bodywork, no faux carbon fiber, just metal, rubber, and the kind of silhouette that looks at home in any garage. For some, it may appear dated. For others, it is exactly what a motorcycle should be, unapologetically mechanical. And yet, despite all that, the GSX1100G remains one of the most overlooked motorcycles on the used market. Maybe it is the plain styling, maybe it is the age, but savvy riders know the truth. Under that modest skin is a machine that can outlast and outperform bikes twice its price. The next motorcycle on this list takes things in the opposite direction, dropping weight, cranking up agility, and bringing a level of street aggression few bikes in its class can match. Number 4. Yamaha WR250X. Some motorcycles are built for highways, others are built for trails. Then there is the WR250X, a machine engineered for the space in between. Light, sharp, and brutally direct, this bike was Yamaha's answer to riders who wanted supermoto performance without sacrificing street legality. And while it may have flown under the radar during its production run, those who've ridden it know, this bike is a scalpel in a world full of sledgehammers. Underneath its lean frame sits a 250 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled single-cylinder engine delivering approximately 30 horsepower and 20 pound-feet of torque. Braking is handled by a large single disc in the front and a matching disc in the rear. Suspension consists of fully adjustable inverted forks up front and a monoshock in the rear. The wet weight is approximately 295 pounds with a seat height just above 35 inches. Well-kept used examples typically sell for under $4,500. The WR250X is not about brute force. It is about precision. Every input, throttle, brake, lean, translates instantly. The short gearing gives it incredible acceleration in low and mid-range speeds, while the high-revving nature of the engine makes it feel alive with every twist of the wrist. This is not a bike for cruising, it is a bike for attacking. In traffic, it feels like you are riding a mountain bike with an engine. The narrow frame, tall stance, and flickable geometry allow you to slice through congestion with a level of agility most motorcycles can only dream of. Curb hopping, lane filtering, quick directional changes. This is where the WR250X shines brightest. What separates it from most small displacement bikes is the quality of its components. Yamaha did not cut corners here. The suspension is fully adjustable, tuned for sharp handling on pavement, but with enough compliance to handle potholes and rough surfaces. The inverted forks offer excellent feedback during cornering and braking, while the rear shock keeps the bike planted during aggressive takeoffs and mid-corner adjustments. The braking system is sharp and responsive, with excellent modulation and bite, especially when paired with the bike's minimal weight. You do not need dual discs or fancy electronics. This is a rider's machine, built for those who understand throttle control and weight transfer better than traction control settings. Riding position is upright and commanding. The wide handlebars give excellent leverage, while the motocross-style seat and mid-mounted pegs prioritize control over comfort. It is not a bike built for long-distance rides, but it does allow you to dominate every mile inside the city limits. And while the digital dash is minimal, just a speedometer, trip meters, and a few basic functions, that is exactly the point. No distractions, no complications, just the essentials. Maintenance is equally straightforward. The engine is tough, and because it shares much of its DNA with Yamaha's off-road lineup, parts availability is strong and affordable. Valve checks, oil changes, chain tension, it is all within reach for any rider with a basic toolkit. This is not the bike for everyone, but for the rider who values responsiveness, control, and mechanical purity, it is nearly perfect. And while it excels on the pavement, the next motorcycle on this list takes that raw simplicity and gives it a second life off-road, where asphalt ends and adventure begins. Number 3. Honda NX250 Dominator. Back when most motorcycles were either dirt-focused or strictly built for pavement, the NX250 quietly bridged both worlds. It did not make headlines or win design awards, but it earned something better: loyalty. The Dominator was built during a time when Honda prioritized toughness over trend, and decades later that decision still pays off. At the core is a 249 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled single-cylinder engine, producing approximately 26 horsepower and 18 pound-feet of torque. Braking is handled by a single disc up front and a rear drum brake. The suspension consists of a long-travel telescopic fork in the front and Honda's ProLink monoshock setup in the rear. Wet weight comes in at roughly 288 pounds with a seat height of 31.5 inches. On the used market, clean examples typically range between $2,000 and $3,200. The Dominator is exactly what its name suggests, a machine designed to conquer terrain without complication. Its lightweight chassis makes it easy to maneuver in tight situations, whether threading through trees or navigating busy intersections. But what really sets it apart is how well it transitions from trail to tarmac. Most dual sports make compromises in both areas. The NX250 does not feel like a compromise, it feels like a solution. Throttle response is crisp, and while the engine is not built for speed records, it has a healthy torque curve that pulls confidently from low in the rev range. That makes it ideal for technical climbs, dirt switchbacks, or just rolling off the line in traffic. It is a practical engine built to last and easy to work on. The riding position is upright and commanding, with mid-mounted pegs and a narrow seat that lets you shift your weight freely when standing on the pegs or carving through corners. The handlebars are wide but not exaggerated, offering good control without sacrificing comfort. Ground clearance is generous, over 10 inches, so curbs, logs, and trail debris are barely a concern. Off-road, it is capable without being intimidating. On-road, it is civilized without being dull. That kind of versatility is rare, especially in a bike that asks for almost nothing in return. There are no electronics, no gadgets, no riding modes, just a reliable motor, simple controls, and a steel frame built to shrug off abuse. The dash is bare bones, analog and straightforward. It tells you what you need to know and nothing more. You are riding the bike, not managing a computer. And for many riders, especially those who came up on mechanical machines, that simplicity is part of the appeal. Maintenance is a breeze. Oil changes, valve checks, and chain service can all be done in a home garage. The parts are still out there, thanks in part to a global fan base that keeps the community alive through forums, clubs, and aftermarket support. Despite its age, the Dominator remains one of the most rideable dual-sport machines ever produced. It is light enough for beginners, durable enough for explorers, and straightforward enough for anyone who just wants a no-nonsense machine that can handle back roads, fire trails, or city blocks with equal confidence. But if you are ready to move up in power and presence, the next bike brings classic Japanese strength and torque-heavy street performance into a simple, honest package. Number 2. Suzuki Bandit 1200. This is the kind of motorcycle that does not care about trends or trophies. It was never built for the showroom. It was built for the street. The Bandit 1200 is pure mechanical muscle, unrefined in all the right ways, generous with its torque, and loyal to riders who prefer throttle over theory. Under the tank lies an 1157 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine that delivers between 100 and 115 horsepower, along with 78 pound-feet of torque. Braking is provided by dual front discs with 2 piston calipers and a single disc in the rear. Suspension consists of conventional telescopic forks up front and a monoshock at the rear, tuned for real-world performance. The wet weight lands around 540 pounds and the seat height is roughly 32 inches. Prices on the used market typically fall between $2,500 and $3,000. This engine, originally derived from Suzuki's sport bike lineage, was retuned for street use. Less high rev hysteria, more low-end grunt. The result is a machine that responds immediately and pulls hard in every gear. Roll on the throttle at 2,000 revolutions per minute and it surges forward without hesitation. This is the kind of torque you feel in your chest. But what makes the Bandit 1200 special is not just the power, it is the attitude. It does not pamper you. It does not hold your hand. It puts the motor front and center, surrounds it with just enough frame to keep things stable, and then gets out of your way. It invites you to wrench, tune, and ride hard. Ergonomically, it strikes a balance that few sport-oriented machines manage. The handlebars are wide and slightly raised, allowing a natural upper body position. The seat is broad and comfortable, even for longer trips, and the mid-mounted foot pegs make for a neutral riding triangle that works for commuting, cruising, or tearing up back roads. The styling is stripped down and honest. No dramatic fairings, no sculpted body panels, just a round headlight, visible engine fins, and analog gauges that keep the experience raw. It looks like what it is, a muscle bike that answers only to the throttle. Maintenance is refreshingly old school. Screw and lock nut valve adjustments mean you do not need fancy tools to keep the motor in top shape. Oil changes and chain service are routine and accessible. And because the platform has been around for years, parts are widely available, both new and used. One of the Bandit's biggest strengths is its flexibility. It can be a commuter, a canyon carver, a touring platform, or a street bruiser. Riders often modify it with upgraded exhausts, bar risers, crash protection, and luggage racks. It is a blank canvas for real-world riders, not a museum piece. Despite its size, the Bandit handles well. It is stable in fast corners, surprisingly nimble in traffic, and composed under braking. The suspension does not pretend to be track-ready, but it absorbs rough pavement and keeps the bike steady under load. Whether carrying a passenger, hauling gear, or just stretching its legs, the bike feels confident and planted. And yet, for all its muscle and durability, it remains one of the best-kept secrets on the used market. It is powerful without being precious, fast without being frantic, and built to last. All that said, there's one bike that still turns heads, thrills riders, and proves that simplicity and performance can live in the same frame. Still watching? That means you care about real value. Subscribe now. We're not chasing hype bikes. We're spotlighting the ones that actually matter. Number 1. Honda CB900F. There are motorcycles that age into collectibles, and then there are motorcycles that age into legends. The CB900F falls squarely into the latter category. It was never built to sit behind velvet ropes or be trailered to bike shows. It was made to be ridden, hard and often. Decades later, it is still doing just that. Beneath the tank is a 900 cubic centimeter air-cooled inline-4 engine producing between 95 and 100 horsepower, and around 57 pound-feet of torque. Braking is handled by a dual-disc setup in the front and a single disc in the rear. Suspension includes conventional telescopic forks up front and twin rear shocks. The wet weight is slightly over 500 pounds with a seat height near 32 inches. Prices for clean examples typically range between $2,500 and $4,000. The CB900F was Honda's vision of what a true high-performance street bike should be. It wasn't a stripped-down race replica or a bloated tourer. It was something in between, powerful, composed, and tuned for the open road. The way this engine delivers power is part of its magic. Instead of peaky surges or temperamental tuning, it offers a smooth, even pull across the rev range. It's a motor you can rely on, not just in terms of durability, but in how predictably it responds to your right hand. The riding dynamics are equally dependable. The chassis geometry keeps the bike stable under acceleration while still letting you confidently change direction when the road starts to wind. It may not flick like a modern sport bike, but it also doesn't fight you. The balance between stability and handling was ahead of its time, and it still holds up today. Where some bikes sacrifice comfort for speed, this one gives you both. The seat is broad and supportive. The foot controls are positioned to keep your knees relaxed, and the handlebars are low enough to reduce wind pressure without folding you into a crouch. It is a motorcycle you can ride all day without counting down the miles. Its design speaks to an era when motorcycles had mechanical presence. There are no plastic body panels to hide the engine, no massive fairings to distract from the frame. Everything is out in the open, raw, functional, and clean. A simple round headlight, classic tank lines, gauges you can read at a glance. There is no flash, and none is needed. The ownership experience is as rewarding as the ride. The engine's air-cooled layout means fewer moving parts and less to go wrong. Valve adjustments, oil changes, and carburetor service are all within reach for riders who enjoy working on their own machines. And thanks to the bike's popularity in its heyday, there's still strong support for parts and community knowledge. The CB900F does not overwhelm you with modern features. It engages you with mechanical integrity. There are no screens, no settings, and no assistance systems. Just the hum of an inline-4 and the feel of steel beneath you. It may have been built over 4 decades ago, but it rides like a reminder. Performance doesn't need gimmicks, and quality never goes out of style. These bikes remind us of what riding should be: honest, simple, and thrilling without breaking the bank. But while the old guard fades, Honda's making bold moves that could completely change the game. Click now to see what Honda just revealed and why Harley-Davidson should be terrified. Like, comment, and subscribe if you believe great motorcycles don't need a luxury badge.